Welcome to the Revision Wizards podcast. I'm Miss Catherine M.H, and I'm joined by my magic haggling co-host, V.E. Griffith. This is episode 20, and we are doing a coaching session with a new writer, Meg Moore. This episode is sponsored by our amazing patrons who help us to build our podcast so we can help you make your editing and revision process so much better.
Our patrons help us to pay for transcripts of our shows that are available on our website and for better audio recording quality so I don't sound so awful. If you'd be willing to support the show financially for as little as $1 an episode, we have a bunch of neat benefits you can take advantage of, including a special podcast feed with extra content and personal updates, inside access as we collaborate on a Kindle Vella project, the opportunity to ask questions for an Ask the Editor episode, professional editing, and more. You can find out everything you need to know at patreon.com/revisionwizards. And with that, off with Meg Moore.
Welcome to podcasting.
All right, so let's get started. If you'd please tell us your name. Yeah. So if you'd please tell us your name and your pronouns.
My name is Meg Moore, and my pronouns are she, her.
Great. So, Miss Catherine, why don't you get us started today?
Yes. Okay. So, let's start with what kind of genre are you writing? So this way I get an idea.
Yeah. So, it's a fantasy series I have in mind. A trilogy. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then from there, let's see. So I know I sent you some of these questions, so you already know what I'm going to ask you. All right. So how confident do you feel in your story concept?
Fleshed out a lot of it just talking to people over the years. And I guess I've got the 3 main characters really well fleshed out in personality. And I don't know what I think, what are they called? Beats?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Sorry.
No, that's right.
Yeah. So I've got sort of in my head, I write a lot of things in my head, and I sort of, taken an idea and written out whole scenes in my head, but there's no pen to paper yet.
Okay.
Not for
And
this one.
how do you feel about your world building?
I have a great imagination, but I could use a lot of, I guess, help teasing it all out.
Just writing notes, sorry. Okay. So if you were to say, like, hey, this is one of the biggest, I don't want to call it a problem, but a problem I'm facing with, like, getting started, what would that be for you?
I think maybe having a format to use is what I need, I think, to help get me started.
Do you mean a series Bible or like an outline? What do you mean by format?
I guess I've got a lot of great problems that have happened, and then the solving of the problem, but it's about, I guess, where to put it.
Okay.
So say I've got, a kidnapping. Where do I put this kidnapping? Where do I put this rescue? That kind of thing.
Okay.
Sounds like a job for Scrivener.
No.
I prefer Google Docs.
Yes. I also like sticky notes. Sticky notes will do it too. If you write them on sticky notes, you can move them around. So like you can get a board, write out the ideas.
Do you mean physical sticky notes?
Yep.
Oh, I thought you meant like an app called Sticky Notes.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure they
That's,
have those too, but I actually use sticky notes.
that's probably a good thing, actually. I might try that because I am a very tactile person. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So, what if you could I know this is a challenge. If you were to describe a bit of your book using 5 sentences, what would it be like? So like your story, what is it in like about 5 sentences if you could? Good luck.
Because that's sort of it's called The Weather Queen. Um, the first book is Weather Magic has basically enabled this kingdom to colonize a continent and most of the islands. And book two, sorry, let's get back to that. Book two is about the protagonist learning to understand the damage that's been done to other nations with weather magic. Mm-hmm. And it's about basically bringing our protagonist on side to understand why what she's believed to be right isn't right. And there's also a love triangle with her husband and one of the people in the resistance who initially radicalized her husband and the islands. And what happens is the protagonist finds out that her queen's been kidnapped, launches a rescue mission. They bring the queen back to the hideout of the resistance, and she's actually learnt a lot. She's suffered, and she wants her kingdom back, and she makes a deal with the resistance members to help her take back the kingdom.
I suggest looking into OneNote. That's something else I use, so I don't have to be online either, but it will sync online. So I can sync it to my phone still in case I wanted to write something on my phone. You can organize it a lot easier than you can in Google Docs. So you can have each section be like, I'll send you pictures of how I set up mine. And you can have like draft 1, 2, 3, 4 all there with all of the chapters and like a note section where you can add like extra scene and title them. So that might be a little easier because you can keep it all in one. So like it's not you're looking at Google Docs and it's all there. Do you color code your documents by any chance?
I don't know.
Okay. And do you have anywhere that you would have written out like an outline? It doesn't have to be an outline, but you're like, if this was the order of events, this is sort of what I'd do.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So not with this particular idea, but for things I have written before, that's generally how I start, with an outline.
Okay. And for your world building or characters, do you have anything from them written down?
No.
Okay.
Lots in my head, but no.
Interesting. You write similar to me. I'll either keep it all in my head or I have to jot it all down. So, have you ever heard of the turn your chapters into 1-sentence summaries?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So what you can
sometimes it can be called the 40-sentence outline.
Well, yeah, but I'm like, she's already written the chapter. But what I will do is after I've written a chapter, I will give myself a 1-sentence summary on what that chapter is.
Okay.
And then when I'm looking at where I want stuff in the book, you have one sentence and you can technically read your book in one sentence for each chapter to make sure that they're lining up where you would like them to. So if you have this one chapter that's like, here's the stakeout before they raid the castle, and you know that like, oh, we have a raid at the castle here, then this goes right there. So I would recommend
that makes
doing like pretty much a reverse outline in that sense, where you will go through and just, here is what this chapter is about. And then you also don't have to like go back through to be like, where was did I write this chapter? You will see it as, bam, I have that sentence already.
Yeah. I like puzzles, so that kind of works with the way my brain works.
That works on sticky notes too. I like sticky notes. That's how I'll start. If I write an outline, it's made in sticky notes, which usually get lost eventually. So it's not like I follow them anyway, but they would have started off so I could move things around. And if you like to be really detailed, you can get different colored sticky notes to follow different characters to make sure that they're going in directions.
Yes. Okay. Yep. I like that.
You can do that with typing too. You can pick a color. So when you're doing those sentences, this whole chapter is all about the queen. The queen gets put in red. So you can also see how many chapters are following what subplots that you also have going on just by color coding.
That's great. I like that. Yeah, I'm going to start doing that.
Becomes fun and addicting. You can also do it with changing the color. If you don't even want to do that, you can change just the color of your Google Docs page, so you can look through and just see the colors of the pages. So if we were to help you solve or go over something, do you have like an idea or a concept, even world building, that you're really struggling with and would want to talk it out with us?
I need to find a way that I can, I guess, some sort of like internal world laws, or how things work in terms of the weather magic.
Okay.
We need to figure out a way that the bad guys can have a reason, I guess, to not want her dead and want to smuggle her out instead of killing her. And I'm a bit stuck on that. So I kind of started with thinking, well, like there's maybe some way that a transfer of power happens with the death of a king or queen, that can destroy the transfer if not done an exact way. And that's why, and if I guess, if the monarch was to be killed through maybe like a general, like, not a generational curse, like some sort of curse that protects, sorry, I've gone on a bit of a tangent.
No, go ahead. You're good. I'm following you.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking of like a curse as a mechanism to save her, a reason to keep her alive. Maybe.
Okay. So I guess I should then go to your magic system, because it sounds like that is where, if we figure out a bit more of your magic system, we can figure out why a queen would be important.
Yes.
Okay, let me turn a page because I'm running out of pages. Okay, so with your magic system, I do have templates that I create for people that helps them fill out stuff. So I'll also send you one of those. But tell me a little bit about your magic. Is it something that anybody can do, or do you have to be born with it? What do you have to learn it? Tell me a little bit about your magic.
Yep. Okay. So the magic is a tightly held thing that happens. It's to do with bloodline. So it's really only a small family who have for several hundred years been slowly growing in power because of the weather magic. It's localized weather magic, so it isn't. They can't pull I guess, a huge tornado out of nothing straight away. So there's time frames, so things take time, and I think I guess I want to make it as not realistic, but you manage to sort of like shift the weather a certain way, and then the actual outcome you want happens a week later. So you need, storms in a certain place to wreck some enemy ships. That requires planning because you've got to be physically there. So the person, the family members, usually it's the ruler of the empire, sort of goes to war essentially with their armies because they need to be physically in this place that they're trying to affect the weather.
So with that little bit, so you have that the family then became the royal family, right? Who can do magic?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So how many family
it's,
members?
The idea is that,
Sorry.
so we've actually got quite a big family, and no, that's right. It's just that lag. And they're and there's a lot of infighting, and it's an absolute sort of, I don't know what you would call it. It's not a monarchy because it's an empire, but it's an absolute monarchy.
Okay.
Sort of pre-Magna Carta style. And although there is it's an absolute monarchy, there's no Senate or Congress or whatever, there is a lot of politicking and powerful nobles who are not family but still rich and powerful, can still impact the ruler and their experience ruling pretty hard.
Yeah. So why is she the queen?
So I wanted to have some flashbacks at certain points to sort of address that. And she is the daughter of I haven't decided if it's her mum or her dad, who was the previous ruler, but basically she's just she was the Princess Royal, fully expecting to take over the throne someday, just a bit sooner than she thought would happen. Yeah.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with the amount of magic she can produce, right?
What has nothing to do with it?
The direct line of succession has nothing to do with the amount of magic she can do, right?
Yes. So so it is. It's completely along descendant line, whatever you call that. Family lines. It's nothing to do with like the most powerful person in weather magic gets the throne. It's which is interesting because you will get some very powerful people who, like, cousins and whatnot, who have the magic and maybe want the throne. And so there's a lot of that.
Okay. So if you have more family members with magic does that weaken the amount of magic? So let's say if you killed off a family member, does the rest of them gain what that person would have had?
It's actually depending on um, how direct a descendant you are to the first person who was blessed with weather magic. That determines how powerful you are. So there are, like, I guess, younger son of younger son style families. The power sort of like kind of tapers off, and you get people who kind of can really not do much at all.
Where is she on the power level?
So she is unremarkable. So she's not. I guess there's been a fair few, kings and queens in recent times that have been average in power, so they haven't done anything much with it or pushed bounds or anything. And she looks to be going the same way. So there's no. She's competent, but there's no amazing sort of wow, new Wonder King, Wonder Queen sort of thing.
Okay. If you were kidnapped, let's say, can somebody use your magic because you're in a location? So if you're a family member, can you tap into your other family members to try to like build this huge storm faster? So if you kidnapped a bunch of your members of your family, could you use them as like power?
That's something that it's not something that they can force by magical means, but they can physically and politically put pressure on her family to be a part of, so weather magic that needs to have quite a lot of people involved. And there's many different reasons for that. So it comes down to maintaining crops and everything. There might be sort of the unimportant family members that are expected to go sort of like on a rotation of the continent and help with rainfall and that kind of thing and make sure everything's exact. And the more powerful ones will have more plum jobs, like military, sort of. The more powerful ones get to basically make a name for themselves through conquest.
Okay. Who takes her place when she is smuggled out?
So I have a bit of in my mind, I have a bit of a cabal of sinister, powerful relatives who are not, I guess, power hungry and greedy, and they don't like, because the queen is very young, and they are used to, I guess her father was pretty much corrupt, so they were used to one way of doing things, and the queen's attempting to I guess she knows that she's been put into a bit of a puppet queen position, and she's trying to get out from under that thumb, from those shadowy sort of people. I haven't decided whether they're going to be people that she knows and trusts, or people that are she's fully aware are her political enemies.
Okay. So if I was a person with magic and somebody's like holding a sword to my neck, being like, yo, if you don't do this, you're going to die, can I transfer my ability to another family member? Or if I die, does my ability and like what I can do completely vanish?
Yeah, it completely vanishes.
Okay. Where do they smuggle her to?
I feel as though it needs to be a completely separate outer colony that her that she's ruling over, essentially. Somewhere where a lot of abuses and horrible things are happening that she can see and maybe even experience firsthand. And they're happening in her name. Well, they were happening in her name until very recently. I just haven't fleshed out the culture that she's going to be sent to yet.
Okay. So I can see two ways for the smuggling to happen. One, well, how young is she?
She's 19.
Okay. So I can see that
She's been in power for about 8 months.
Okay. So one, you can have your bad guys smuggle her out there to threaten her. This is what we can do to you. You're not powerful enough. We can dump you here and nobody would know what happens to you. So they could use it as a threatening piece for her. Or she is smuggled out by someone who kind of feels bad for her, but can only get her to like a location that most people wouldn't know. Like, oh, hey, you're real young and like they're really gonna actually kill you. I kind of feel bad for you. Let me smuggle you out. Not that I'm actually gonna help you. I'm gonna dump you off here.
That would actually really help because it means that I don't need to have a reason for them not to kill her because they actually do want to. They just miss their chance. Okay. Yeah,
okay. So
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, like they'd feel bad being like, I'm killing a teenager. Shouldn't have a whole lot. Whoops. Well, we'll sort of help you. Like, I feel like this person would help in this way in order to be like, hey,
Yeah.
Oh no, she got away, but look where she's at. It ain't gonna be like she's gonna live.
Yeah. And she's I guess her personality, she's very sweet and not timid, but just charming, I think. And she's really well loved by the people in her city.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So I've got lots of notes that I do plan on typing up for you. Yeah. I've got some templates I can send you too. So I have stuff where, so like your government, we can figure out your empire setup and how that runs for you. I have a magic
and how
one.
it's going to run.
Weather.
Oh, nice. That's. Oh, sorry. There's the lag again.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Nice.
So I've got some of these templates. I can definitely send them to you. You can put them in Google Docs. You can have them in there. You can fill them out. So they're set right in there. I'll send you a few pictures of, like I said, how I set up my OneNote, because that might also be an easier solution than just having tons of Google documents, because eventually you do eat up your storage. I'm at that point. I'm at 94% in mine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, whoops, that's not going to work anymore. Yeah. So unless you want to keep creating or like buying stuff, OneNote does work in that it will keep it all separate per chapter and you can click back and forth through them. So,
yeah.
I mean, there is Scrivener. Not that I like Scrivener, so. All right.
There are tools other than Scrivener, and we can help you find them.
Okay.
The big thing that I am hearing, I feel like a lot of a lot of the world building stuff can work itself out as you write. And we can have another session later if you get stuck somewhere. I feel like a lot of what's going to help here is figuring out how to keep you organized and how to keep your ideas straight in your head. And so, whether we go to something like Scrivener or one of its competing products, like Campfire or something like that, or if we go to a big white poster board that you have, lots of Post-it notes on, I think that's I'm hearing that's a place where you're struggling is not creating, but in organizing. And in keeping it straight in your head. And when that starts to happen, the problem that you run into is, it starts to affect your writing. So if we can keep it straight so you don't have to keep it in your head, and you can use a reference, they're in this crazy place because, okay, now I can go back to writing. So you don't have to remember those kinds of details. It helps you keep stuff straight. And I think that's going to be a big place where you're going to get a lot of benefit.
Yeah. As much as fun as keeping things in your head are, writing some of it down will clear space to just add more into your head.
Let me ask, what is your eventual goal here? Are you wanting to publish? Are you wanting to traditional publish? Is this just for entertainment?
I do want to publish. I just haven't decided exactly how that will go.
Okay. Well, we need to solve the getting it written problem first anyway, so.
How fast are you at writing?
When I'm on a roll, I'm pretty fast.
And do you write every single day, or is it like most of us pantsers, suddenly you want to write?
I haven't written for a long time. And I have sort of come to that point where I feel ready to write again.
All right. I've got my pages filled of notes, which I'll type up and send to you. They'll look much prettier than how I have them written.
Thank you. Okay.
Is there anything else on your mind that you want to cover while we have time?
No, I've got some really good ideas there. I really love the little tweak with how the Queen gets smuggled out. Very excited about that.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Then what we will do is we'll get you the materials that we're going to put together for you, and then we'll check back in with you in a few months and see how it's going.
Awesome.
All righty. Then I'm going to go. Yeah, now you have a reason to write, and you want to get back on the show, so you got to have something to produce, to show us and tell us how it went. So
yeah.
All right. So that's going to be all for today, I think. And we will see everybody next time.
Thank you both very much. Really appreciate it.